Our products are organically sourced natural healthy foods from Nigeria, West Africa, sourced directly from the small local farmers. At Naturalike, we believe what you put in your body and on your body can dramatically impact your health and well-being. Boost your energy levels and satisfy your cravings with a healthy dose of natural sweetness from our products. We're excited to help lead African foods and products into the global health and wellness markets. Follow us on Instagram at Naturalike, on Facebook at Naturalike LLC, and YouTube at Naturalike TV. These organically sourced foods are available at our Amazon store, amazon.com/Naturalike. Email us at naturalikeproducts@gmail.com.
Peace, family. I hope all is well. I hope your Thursday is going well. Tomorrow is Friday. We're coming into the weekend. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I'm going to go ahead and say that. We're going to claim that ahead of time. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Hope you're enjoying your Thursday. Hope you enjoy your Friday tomorrow, just in case I don't go live tomorrow. Before we get started, make sure you hit that like button. And please hit that like button. Also, make sure you share and make sure you subscribe to the content. Again, share, like, share, subscribe. Doesn't have to be in that order. Just make sure you do all three. We have a couple of announcements. Announcement number one, really, it's just one announcement. It's like two announcements, but they're similar. So Nigeria, we are rolling to Nigeria August 4th to the 13th for the Oshun Festival. We are rolling to Nigeria August 4th through the 13th for the Oshun Festival. We have 4 spots. We have 4 spots remaining. Again, we have 4 spots remaining. If you're interested in joining us in Nigeria for the Oshun Festival, please come. Hit me up. Email me. Go to donfo.africa and we got you. And guys, as far as the travel brand, when it comes to Donfo, we are focused on adventure, cultural, and festival experiences. That's our wheelhouse. That is our wheelhouse. We are focused on curating authentic adventure, cultural, and festival experiences in Africa. That's what we do. All right, we're going to immerse ourselves in the culture as much as possible. All right, that is what we do. That's what we're about. That is how we engage the beautiful continent of Africa. Right now, we're more focused on West Africa, but we are going to Zanzibar. We are going to Zanzibar, September 22nd through October 1st, September 22nd through October 1st. And this is for Safari Blue. So Safari Blue, we're going to enjoy the blue waters of the Indian Ocean, white sand beaches, good seafood, and the culture too. As far as the Maasai, there's Maasai everywhere in Zanzibar. We had a good time last year. So if you are interested in joining us, please visit Donfo, DANFO.Africa to learn more. All right, let's jump into it. Found this interesting article. I'm like, let's talk about this. U.S. versus Russia. Why the Biden strategy in Africa may be failing. Not may be failing. It's failed. In fact, U.S. Africa, we'll say, policy has failed completely. We could go back to your boy, your guys' first black president, Obama, who decided he was going to assassinate Gaddafi, and that has turned the Sahel upside down. So U.S. Africa policy has completely failed since these countries have gained independence, and even when they were still colonies of Europe. The United States of America has been involved either directly or indirectly with every major assassination that has taken place on the continent. Whether it's Patrice Lumumba, Thomas Sankara, Gaddafi, the list goes on. Just about every major assassination that has changed the course of history when it comes to the continent of Africa, the United States of America has been directly or indirectly involved. You can say what you want about Russia. You can say what you want about China. At least with China, you're getting major infrastructure projects. Shout out to Gregory X, everyone. Guys, Gregory came with me to Nigeria for my first ever tour back in 2019. For the Oshun Festival back in 2019, Gregory rode to... Greg, how's the baby doing? Greg, how's the baby doing? But Gregory came to our first ever tour in Nigeria, first ever tour, period. And this is back in 2019. So shout out to Gregory X in the chat room. Thank you. 28 months. So you got a toddler. Congrats to Greg and his 28-month-old daughter, right? Daughter, correct? Oh, 18 months. Okay, 18 months. So anyways, let's jump into the topic. U.S. versus Russia. Well, as I was saying, China, you can say what you want about China. Just about every major infrastructure project on the continent is being assisted by China. Name one major infrastructure project on the continent in which the United States of America could take credit. Guys, let me know. Here we go. U.S. officials are starting to accept that their strategy of pressing Niger and other war-battered African countries to break off ties with Moscow and embrace democratic norms is no longer working. What's a democratic norm? See, we have to define democratic norms. Obviously, what's been going on in the past, the majority of these African countries that, as far as politics, which is considered democracy, hasn't been necessarily democracy. The recent breakdown in relations with Niger, where American troops are set to withdraw as Russian fighters arrive, has forced a reckoning inside the Biden administration over his approach to maintaining its allies in volatile parts of Africa. According to two officials familiar with the matter, both officials were granted anonymity to speak about sensitive diplomatic negotiations. Countries across the continent, including Chad, Central African Republic, Mali, and Libya, have turned toward Russia for security assistance. Now in Niger, Russian paramilitary fighters have arrived, sidelining the U.S. and forcing the withdrawal of 1,100 U.S. military personnel there in the next several months, one of the officials said. While Washington has raised concerns about Niamey, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, relationship with Iran, U.S. officials are particularly worried about operating in a country whose government has increasingly close military ties with Russia. The military junta in March called for the dissolution of the agreement that governs the American military presence in the country, but a date hasn't been set for their departure. If U.S. troops leave, America will lose access to a critical military base it relies on to fight groups like ISIS The U.S. drone base in Niger is used for intelligence collection that is key for targeting terrorist strongholds in the region. Excuse me. When all of these countries kicked out the French and turned inward, we then tried to pivot to become the peacemaker in the hopes that we could keep our presence there, said Cameron Hudson, a former intelligence officer for Africa. At the CIA, referring to countries with coup governments in Africa. All of that is clearly not working. We are now out. Russia is now in. The National Security Council did not respond to a request for comments. U.S. law prohibits Washington from providing funds to coup governments. We have to look up. See, that's not true because, and guys, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure that Burkina Faso was getting funds while Thomas Blyes was in office after the coup of Thomas Sankara. I'm sorry, not Thomas Blyes. It was Thomas Sankara, but what was Blyes? Blyes Compaore. I'm sorry, Blaise or Blyes Compaore. When he was in office, Congo was getting funds from the United States of America after the coup that took place, which removed Patrice Lumumba and put Mobutu in office. I could keep going on and on. But I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, guys, put in the chat that I'm wrong. But the United States of America has sponsored coups in Africa and funded governments after coups have taken place. So that's not true. But U.S. officials have tried to maintain diplomatic relations with those countries, many of which have vast natural resources, in an effort to one day resume military and other financial support. The Biden administration's strategy has been to try to engage coup governments and negotiate roadmaps and timetables for democratic elections. But African leaders, while telling diplomats and other American officials that they want to maintain relations with Washington, have largely rebuffed suggestions that their countries need to more fully embrace democracy. With most of these governments, they really don't want to be told what to do, a third U.S. official said. There's a long history of the West telling African countries how to govern, and they're finally saying enough. There we go. Some African leaders have welcomed the Russian intervention, saying Moscow can provide fast security assistance when the U.S. cannot. Others have pushed back against U.S. demands for reforms, claiming the West has no right to lecture on democracy in Africa when it ignores similar issues with allies in other parts of the world. Those rebuffs, including in Niger, have tested American officials as they attempt to try to find a way to hold on to Washington's longstanding partnerships in countries that hold significant natural resource wealth. Behind closed doors, officials increasingly believe that it may be unwise to completely withdraw from countries experiencing challenges in democracy, said a DoD official. Doing so does leave a huge gap for other less scrupulous competitors such as Moscow or Beijing to swoop in. The fear is, okay, we're going to walk away and Russia is going to come in, the official said. Are we really being a good partner if we are leaving when they are most vulnerable? So far, the U.S. has tried to make the most of limited options. Their most recent strategy has been to expose Russian mercenaries' destruction on the continent, including their vast human rights abuses in an effort to discourage countries from aligning with Moscow. The U.S. has the same. The U.S. has a vast human rights abuses on the continent around and across the globe as well. Russian engagement in Africa is not helpful, said a second U.S. official, is parasitic. So far, though, that effort has not reversed decisions by African leaders, especially those in coup governments, to partner with Russia. Their immediate needs for assistance and security are too great, the official said, and the U.S. can't provide that kind of help. Where the Russians have a real advantage over the United States is they have weapons and they sell weapons, including helicopters. The senior U.S. official said, and they sell small arms. There are a lot of security challenges in Africa, and Africans need weapons. Russia has seized on the opportunity using mercenaries and other fighters aligned with the Ministry of Defense to help provide security. In Mali, for example, members of Russia's elite Wagner paramilitary force have been helping government forces carry out strikes and raids that have killed scores of civilians in recent months, according to rights groups. Now, for the first time in Niger, the Russian Ministry of Defense is overseeing a new security mission. There we go. Dispatching paramilitary fighters to help train Nigeria's military. Russia moves raised alarms among Biden administration officials who have tried to negotiate a deal with the military junta that would ultimately allow the U.S. troops to remain in the country. Many of the Russian fighters in Niger and those bound for neighboring Burkina Faso formerly fought under Yevgeny Prigozhin. And you guys know he died in a mysterious airplane crash when he led the Wagner forces. Wagner was Russia's most elite paramilitary force operating in various corners of the world, including Ukraine and Africa. Since his attempted overthrow of the country's military leaders last summer and his subsequent death, many of his former employees have joined new and existing private security forces overseen by Moscow's military and intelligence services. It is still not clear how soon U.S. forces will leave Niger, or if there might be a way to negotiate for them to remain. One senior U.S. official said there's a possibility the U.S. still helps train the military in Niger. I guess alongside Russia. That's weird. Pentagon spokesperson Major General Patrick Ryder confirmed Monday the beginning of discussions between U.S. and Niger for the orderly withdrawal of U.S. forces from the country, and said DOD is sending a small delegation to participate in the discussions. He did not give a time frame for the delegation to arrive or for U.S. troops to leave the country. There we go. There we go. Guys, links in the chat room. If you want to add to the convo, click on the link. Call in. They have drone bases all over Africa, but don't share the geolocation of the rebel camps or troop movements because they are funding these rebel groups to recolonize Africa, bring on T West. I wish I could bring on T West. Is T West back on YouTube? I know his channel's been shut down like 3-4 times. But guys, links in the chat room. If you want to call in and add to the conversation, please call in. And you are welcome to add to the conversation. Let me find another news story. Okay, here we go. Wilfred.
Hey, Dennis, how you doing?
Man, I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm just back from France, literally now. And I saw you're making a show. No, I was in France visiting my parents, and I'm back to Germany now.
Okay, back to Germany. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And I saw you're making a show about the right topic.
Yeah. But hey, real quick. You think Togo's next?
The thing is, given the context, right? If I had to make a guess, I would say it's either Togo or Benin. And when I'm saying this, I'm not saying it's going to be tomorrow, like in the next months. Who knows? But I'm saying give these countries 2 to 3 years and something's going to happen there. Because, by the way, just as an information, right? I saw a few days ago a video of Kemi Seba saying that he doesn't basically say no to the fact that he might run for president in Benin in 2025.
Well, didn't he already run once or was going to run?
No, he never did.
Okay.
As far as I know, he never did. But in the context that we have now in Francophone West Africa, right? And given the major role that this guy played in all the revolutions that you're beholding now, right? And given the fame that the guy has, right? Patrice Talon, the dictator, has 2 solutions. Either he tried to put him in prison and he's going to make of Kemi Seba basically a martyr. I don't know if the English word for this, but a hero. more than he's already now,
Marcher.
a marcher, right?
Yeah.
Or he lets him run and he's gonna get crushed. So no matter in which direction you're looking at, Benin to me is gonna fall within the next 5 years.
Really, I don't see. I'm in Benin all the time. Benin just doesn't have that, and I don't sense any like despair or trouble in Benin. Like
the thing is, even though I was never there, I would have told you the same thing about Niger a few years ago. I mean, come on now, you guys do not realize because you're Anglophones and you don't have most of the informations, right? Going on in the French-speaking world do not come in the English-speaking world as they are, right? But you guys have to realize how much of a sellout, cooning, checking and jiving Negro Mohamed Bazoum was. The thing that this guy said, guys, you don't imagine, really, you can't even fathom the level of coonery, I don't know what's the English for that this guy used to do, right? And Nigerians were basically apathetic. And I was thinking personally that if something had to happen, that Senegal would be first and Niger would follow. But it was actually the other way around. So when you look at what's going on in the region, do not think that because people at the moment don't move, that nothing's going to happen. It only takes one guy, like Assimi Goïta in Mali. It all began with one guy, one colonel, to input, to basically, to begin all of this and to free people's mind. You know what I mean? So you don't know what's going to happen in these countries next. But all I can tell you is this, to me, I'm not a geopolitical analyst or whatever, but the fact that for Gnassingbé Bey, you have to remind this guy mercilessly slaughtered people, right, who were protesting or basically denying his power in the past. He even put his own brother in prison. This guy has no mercy. Mm-hmm. The fact, right, that he pretended to organize a vote to legitimize his change of constitution, to me, is a sign of the time. He can't go as straightforward as he used to go. And it is the sign because he knows what the zeitgeist is in the region, and he knows that his ass is on a jetpack. It's only a question of time. And for instance, I know Togolese people here. Togolese people here are exactly the same as Malian people, as Burkinabe people, even in Cameroon, where I come from. The problem is that in dictatorships like the one of Gnassingbé Bey and so on, it is so harsh. There are so many people in prison for just saying something that would be slightly perceived as being against the power. You don't realize how much people there are, how can I say, are oppressed, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the reason why they seem apathetic from the outside, but they're not. And the Nigerians, are the typical example of that. I'm telling you, you don't know what's going to happen, but looking at what's going on, to me, I would say if it's not Togo, it's going to be Benin, because 2025 is the election year. And Kemi Seba said if he doesn't run himself, he's going to back up a Pan-Africanist candidate. And you can already imagine what kind of candidate it would be. It would be a guy who is unapologetically Pan-African and sovereignist. So, in other words, he already said the guy he's going to back up if he doesn't run is going to be someone who's going to basically ally with the AES and who is going to join the AES. So there is not even, you know what I mean? It's clear as day. So that's my point.
Yeah, when in 2025 is the election, Benin?
I don't know. I just know it's 2025.
Okay. Go ahead, Al.
Yes, brothers. Yes, I salute you both. And the chat. Yeah, I mean, my brother from Cameroon. I was gonna, before I go on, I was gonna ask you a question. What's going on with sport beer in Cameroon? Because it's been there forever. Yeah, I mean, is that something gonna happen there also? Because it's been running the country outside the country. It's been outside Cameroon, running Cameroon, and nobody seems to be, taking him out. What's going on, Fred?
Basically, Cameroon, to sum it up, had an extremely efficient revolutionary movement that went under the name of UPC. UPC is in French, Union des Populations du Cameroun, so the union of the Cameroonian populations, and it was mercilessly brought down by the colonial power at the time, in the beginning, because it lasted over a few years, and then after the official independence of Cameroon by the Cameroonian government, which had as prime minister Paul Biya, who then basically threw out the guy who was there at the time, Ahidjo, and took the power, right? And for the information, right? I am a Bamileke people, and we were with Bassa people. We were the core. We constituted the core of this movement, and historians who never agreed with each other still agree on something. That's the fact that 500,000 of us, Bamileke especially, were slaughtered during this period. So when I'm telling you it was merciless, it was really merciless. And the French people even used to use napalm bomb on us in the Western region. So it basically shocked the people to a point that they became apathetic, right? So every day in Cameroon, people are thrown in prison for just expressing, an opinion that is not right. Many people are killed in an extrajudicial system. This is a country with no laws, where people was beaten up so much that they don't even try to fight anymore. That's the reason why, when it comes to Cameroon, for instance, to me, it's probably going to be one of the last countries that is going to be free, if it ever gets free. And to be honest, I'm really pessimistic about this country. In my lifetime, I don't believe in it. Right? Many people, Cameroonians, tell me, "Yeah, you're gonna see. They say whatever they want. I won't live 100 years to see that happen. If it happens, good point. But I wouldn't count on Cameroon too much. But hey, who knows? Who knows? But that's the point in Cameroon. This is a dictatorship. Basically, all the Central African countries, Francophone countries, are total dictatorships, where the system in place has no intention whatsoever to move. And when you look at all the countries, at the exception of the Central African Republic, most of these guys have been there for literally decades, and they're already organizing some people to take over the power. For instance, Paul Biya is preparing his son to take over, and they are basically clanic fights within the clans around the power to know who is going to overtake the power when Paul Biya dies. So in Cameroon, I don't see it happening. So it's just so that you know.
Wow. Because I have been in a panel where I had some guy boasting how the Bantu countries happen to be the most, wealthiest and in Africa. But then when I look into the statistics, the last couple of days, because people actually like to misinform, and also like to have biased point of view. When I look at it, Central African Republic, Burundi, and Congo are the poorest country, the third poorest countries in the world. And these countries are very mineral resource rich, and they're well positioned. So how can this country be the third poorest country in the world and also in Africa? It doesn't make sense.
It makes perfectly sense, actually. It's like Niger. Niger was literally I think, either the world's poorest country or the world's second poorest country in the world. While Niger, it's not me, it's official numbers, 1/4 of the uranium that is used here in Europe, all over Europe, right? And that is extracted only by one, basically by one firm, that is Orano. These are French.
Yes.
Niger, even though it gives 25% of the uranium from all over for all Europe, it is still the world's poorest country in the world. It is done on purpose, right? And I mean, it's been 60 years plus that the French have been there. I'm sorry, that's my government, but it is fact. It is not something that everybody can look at. This information is out there for everyone to know. And you can't explain how is it that this country that is so much uranium, that has basically provided for 1/4 of the uranium of the whole EU, that in this country 70% of the population is off grid. There's a moment where, you know what I mean, and the 30% who have power basically have to take it from Nigeria, right? Because nothing was built there. And Nigerians are known basically in the region, in the sub-region, for basically emigrating to other countries like Cameroon and so on to work, because their country is absolutely underdeveloped, or has been underdeveloped till now, but it's going to change, right? So, and it is exactly the same in Congo. I mean, you mustn't look further. Congo, whatever you want to do in technology field, you need coltan. I don't know if that's the English name too. Well, Congo is the world's biggest reserve of coltan. It's plenty of gold, of diamond, on anything you want. So that's the reason why the Rwandese rebellion with the M23 and so on are operating in the eastern region in cooperation with powers like the US. It's to steal it's to steal the minerals. And that's the reason why Congo is never going to be free if it keeps behaving the way it does. So,
right, you are right, because it says what I'm seeing here: South Sudan, Burundi, Central African Republic, Democratic Republic of Congo, Mozambique, Malawi. These are the poorest countries in Africa. These are the 10, the top 5 to 10 poorest countries in the continent. And these are all countries that concentrated in that region. Niger Republic was there, but it actually got better since it seemed like they had a military coup, by increasing the price of the uranium. It's crazy. It's absolutely not. And we have people, in the continent that think, these white people, or not, I wouldn't blame white people, or the colonials, or the West, is a blessing to Africa. And I mean, we have a man like Obama that was planted in America, in the United States, government, to actually do their bidding for them in the continent. And I believe he also had agents in the continent that still work. And I believe Obama still have influence in the Democratic Party, with Joe Biden. There's something going on, we're not seeing in the surface. I hate to speculate because, I'm not one of those people, but it just seems strange that there's a weird pattern I'm actually observing. And we have enemies within, and I think Obama was used as a pawn, to start doing this recolonization of Africa. But thank God we have, strong brothers in the West that are standing up as a man, because these brothers came from, it came from great people, you well know, and people that actually managed to build empires and establish something in the past, to go back on, and actually trying to reclaim their history and their land. Like look at Mali, the Niger Republic, these areas, they and Senegal. These are rich areas, not only in resources, but they're rich in history. You can see why these people would not want to be controlled by outsiders for too long, right?
Well, was it a question or?
Yeah, was it a question?
Yes, it was a question. You can see why people. You can see it's quite easy to see why Mali, Niger Republic, like the people in the Senegambian region, are standing up, because these people have had a great past. It's difficult for these people to be controlled by outsiders for too long. You can see why they don't want to be controlled by the West or other people, right?
Well, I have to disagree with you, because it has nothing to do with the past. It has to do with the fact that they have the opportunity to do something and they did it, right? But you should never forget about the fact that no matter how great their past was, Senegal, for instance, was literally, it was, I'm sorry to have to say this, but Senegalese, it has been the headquarters of the France Afrique for a long time. And it has been producing sellouts at a rate that has never been been seen before. It is the same thing for Mali, for Burkina. You shouldn't forget the fact that if Sankara basically was assassinated, it was with the collaboration of the Burkinabe elite of that time. So I'm sorry once again to say this, but they're not better than anywhere else. The fact that they had great empires doesn't change a thing, actually. The thing is that they were given the opportunity to do something and they seized it. For instance, I was talking about Cameroon, right? I'm harsh on my country of origin, but something cannot be said about Cameroonians. That's the fact that they didn't fight. Men, they fought. The UPC that I'm talking about, it was something. It was basically similar to what Amilcar Cabral used to do, because not only they were basically ideologically training people. I mean, when it comes to politics, but they were also training people for mastering skills and so on. You know, it was way more than this, right? And you can't just say that this country where they used to have the great prior, or they're where they are just because they had a great past. I don't agree with this, because in this case, if you look at Nigeria, I mean, this is the cradle of one of the best black civilizations, right? Whether it's in the north or the south, right? But still, Nigeria is a pitiful state. So the fact that you had great empires in the past doesn't mean anything to me. And you shouldn't make this division. To me, it's dangerous, right? Between people in this country and the others. They're in the same situation. And believe me when I'm telling you, even though people in Togo, once again, or Benin, another place where they used to have great empires, even whether you like them or not. Right?
Benin,
For instance, Dahomey, it is controversial at its best, but still, there were no jokers, right? For same thing for the Anglophones, for Ashantis and so on. But even in Côte d'Ivoire and so on, there were no players, there were no jokers. But still, the situation doesn't allow them at this point to do something. But I think that something has to be clear also, as I was saying earlier. Just give these people an opportunity, and it's going to explode.
Right. No, I agree with
even
that.
in the countries where you can, where you might think that it's calm, that they don't do nothing. That's the reason why, after what happened in Niger, Togo, to me, even though I have to say that Togolese by nature, those are the guys who I know, they are very calm. They're not like explosive people. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the same thing for Beninese people. That's why I think dynasty, you maybe think so. They're a bit like Ghanaians. They're really laid back, extremely calm, extremely easygoing. But hey,
that's the Benin people. Yeah, that's the Benin people you mentioned.
Yes, that's what I was mentioning. Yeah. Just Diners shortly.
Hey, Wilfred, are you familiar with Chad at all?
Oh, that's a complicated situation there. To sum up, you want me to sum it up?
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
What's going on is that there used to be a dictator who went under the name of Idriss Déby Itno, and he was basically killed in a gunfight by his generals, or by somebody, one of his generals.
Okay,
right?
Okay. Well, they're saying that it was Islamic extremists that he was in a gun battle with. You're saying it was his generals.
Yeah. Well,
no,
that's actually.
I think he was killed by the Tuareg.
Well, anyway, he was killed.
Are you saying that they were trying to cover it up and it was a Tuareg that did it, not his general? But you're saying it's his general. I'm sorry. Are you saying it was the generals who did it and not the Tuareg?
I don't know exactly who did. I don't know exactly who did it. Maybe it's a Tuareg, because I mean his army is huge. There are people from every ethnic groups. What I'm saying is that in French medias, I mean at least alternative medias, there are some people who used to work in the governments who are saying, for instance, what I'm talking about this, just so that you don't think that I make this stuff up, right? There is a guy whose name is Alain Juillet. Alain Juillet, he is the former chief of the French secret services. So he's not a joker, right? And Alain Juillet said, right, that Déby was killed by one of his generals. So he didn't say who. We don't know who. I don't know who. But that's what Alain Juillet, the former chief of French secret services, says.
Okay.
If anybody wants to go check, that's on him. All right. So I just said this information. But whatever, he was killed. And what happened is that according to the fake constitution, There was supposed to be a transitional government, and basically what happened is that his son, Mahamat Idris Deby Itno, no, Mahamat Kaka Deby, sorry, well, he made a coup and took the power, and he was adopted by the French president Emmanuel Macron, who few years ago was basically raging against Mali, but against Assimi Goïta in Mali because he made a coup, right? And now what happened is that Kaka Deby, I'm going to call him like this, it's easier. So Mahamat Kaka Deby, the thing that he did is that he organized fake elections that are going to happen, I think, the 6th of May. And he's going to be the only guy running with his opponent who goes under the name of Succès Masra. And Succès Masra, to make it short, was a guy who claimed, who was speaking the right way, so to speak. So was basically backed up by the youth of Chad. And at a moment, I can't remember when it was last year or the year before, basically the youth made a demonstration where 133 people were killed by the army of Kaka Deby. And Succès Masra basically went in exile to France. And when he came back now, he basically disavowed his old principle and accepted the post of first minister. And he's running against Deby. So what is going on in Chad is that basically you have a traitor running against a dictator. And the last thing to say is that in the total indifference of international community, it was a few months ago, the cousin of Mahamat Kaka Deby, I can't remember his name, but he was basically the leader of a Pan-African party that goes under the name of, I think, the Socialist Party of Chad or something like this. He was basically killed by the army of Kaka Deby to prevent him from running. And of course, no one gives a shit about it because it's in the interest of Western imperialism. So the election that is going to occur is going to be it's going to be a theater piece. I don't know what's the English for that, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Okay.
but the Finnish the current guy, the current Deby, because it's his son, Idris Deby's son, right? Is he not part of the French alliance? Is that not where the French actually have their base at the moment in the Sahel? So, how does that plays out to you?
Oh, Mahamat Kaka Deby, this guy is part of the French Afrique system. I mean, there's no no doubt about it. If you hope that this guy is going to do anything like what happened in the AES, it is never going to happen. Basically, what happened is also it was, I think, last week or something like this, a few weeks ago, some of his partisans basically created a rumor that said that he intended to join the AES in order to make him look like a Pan-African. But it's never going to happen. Well, this guy is never going to happen. He is a product of the French Afrique system. He's basically a French African prince.
Right. That's very interesting because the French got a heavy military base in that country, and we know it's been a very peaceful place. It's right underneath Libya, and all the other countries that are underneath Libya are in trouble. But Chad is supposed, is actually been peaceful, area. So it kind of make you wonder how do they manage to keep the peace, in Chad.
I have to disagree. At least there's been rebellions all over the place over there. Ethnic tensions.
Chad is not a war zone, though, is it?
It is. There are rebellions. There are rebellions of certain ethnic groups.
But it's not a war zone, though, is it?
I mean, it's not Sudan, but it's not peaceful either. It's not totally peaceful either. That's what I mean.
Yeah, because it seemed like they're picking and choosing the country that they want to live in turmoil. Like Niger Republic was quite a bit quieter. They had insurgency now and again, but it was a bit quiet. Chad is a bit quiet, but the rest of them are just in trouble. And obviously, if we look at Sudan, that we never mentioned, which is really sad fact, and especially us Africans, we talk about all over the world, all the other problems that's going on, Israel, Palestine. We talk about all the problem, but the land, the land of the black, Bilal al-Sudan, that's how it's described. We always forgot about this land, and our people have been killed and tortured in Sudan every day by this Janjaweed. No one cares or talk about it. The genocide that's happening in Sudan at the moment is actually crazy. And these people have been fighting, this same problem for centuries. They've been pushed out of their land. It's a sad story. Something needs to be done. And we need to really start talking about Sudan, moving forward, because if the world media is not talking about it, African diaspora, I think it's our responsibility to expose this issue, because, they've been slaughtered every day. These are black people. These are the black people that are described, that the ancient blacks that built, things, and historic black people that have actually been wiped out at the moment. So it's crazy. Something needs to be done, my francophone brother. I know, you the francophone guys, you got your own problems at the moment.
I'm sorry, but when it comes to Sudan, I think in the first place they're gonna have to do something themselves, because the francophone countries they're just beginning to free themselves, right?
Yeah.
And for instance, the title of this show was about the Americans. The Americans might have agreed to leave, but they're gonna stay in the region, and you can be sure that they're gonna use any opportunity to destabilize these countries. Because, for instance, what's going on right now is that from the informations that I gathered, the Americans are going to go to Mauritania, right? And all of a sudden, in the last,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, in the last days, you have tensions between Mauritania and Mali, because Mauritania is now accusing Mali of having killed Mauritanian civilians in the near the Mauritanian border. So
Yeah,
I don't want to be a conspirationist, but hey, there's a moment where the American I mean, whatever.
Dynast, did you see when July 5 was inaugurated, in Senegal, when all the leaders came there, to actually commemorate and thank him, the body language of the Mauritanian leader wasn't good.
Yeah, but Mauritania has always had problems with Senegal. They've always had problems with each other.
Yes, but his body language was terrible. And you can see why the Senegal president, his first visit was Mauritania.
Does Mauritania even have like a standing military? Like, I mean,
oh yes. Mauritania is backed by the Moroccans. Don't forget, Morocco have the largest ground military troops in the continent, and they are fully backed by Israel. That Morocco is fully backed. In fact, Morocco have one of the highest Jewish populations in the world as we speak.
Okay.
Right, and and this is a country that has always been, they're brothers that are very close to us, but we always had to watch out for them because they can be lethal. You understand? In the West Africa, these are the brothers that can really harm us, if they would like to, those Moroccans. But they never have, and because of the relationship we had and the historical connection we had with them, but this is why Mali is always been skeptic how they deal with, Mauritania. Otherwise, they'd dealt with them a long time ago. Because we have loads of our people in Mauritania also. There's no one single tribe in Senegal that's not in Mauritania.
Right.
Not one single one. But they kept the peace with them for a long time. But it's a very fragile relationship also. Yeah. And the Algerians also, we know Algerians are the reason why the northern Mali is crumbling. And
that's right. And that's the reason why I was telling. I'm sorry for Sudanese guys, but they're gonna have to do something for themselves, because, as you just rightfully described, the AES is basically in the middle of enemies, right? The Northern Africans are against them. And I put Mauritanians in it. You have sellout states that are on the way to liberation, whose population is acquired to the cause of the AES, but whose leaders are puppets in the south. So they can't just go to Chad and Mauritania and Sudan and do the job. They're going to have to do it first, right? Yeah. And I'm not even going to talk about Libya. That is a mess. Hey, but I mean, it's ongoing. It's ongoing. I'd like to say two things before St. James intervenes. First, to Dynast. I'm extremely busy because of my study, but in October, I'm going to have a little bit of time. And I was thinking over the last few days, if you want, I'd like to organize like maybe a show with you where I would show all the sources of information that I take in order to inform myself. Because
Okay.
I've been fighting with Niger here so much time, right? And there's a moment where I was thinking I have to show to the people here what's going on in the French-speaking world and when you can have these informations, even though many of them are in French. And maybe we could just look at some stuff and I would translate it in live so that people can see where the informations come from.
Okay.
Just as an idea. But I will contact you then later on if you agree per mail. I have your email and we can organize this.
Yeah, that's
if
fine.
You agree.
Absolutely.
Be cool.
All right.
And the second thing.
Go ahead, Wilfred. I'll pass it to
the second thing, it goes in the same direction. I don't know if you have time later on, because when I was saying, I've been saying a lot of time, right, that people in the Anglosphere do not fathom what's going on in the English, in the Francophone sphere, and they always underestimate the willing of the people on the ground to lead these revolutions at their turn and to even defend themselves, right? And for instance, I've been fighting with Niger. I'm sorry to always quote this guy, but I'm his nemesis. He's the reason why I even intervene in your show in the first place, because this guy was saying so much bullshit about the Francophone countries that I couldn't stand it. I have to intervene. But whatever. For instance, this guy was saying that the armies in this country, they don't develop fast enough and blah 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 blah. Right? I have to remind you that, for instance, the Malian army was humiliated on worldwide, right? At the time of the operation Barkhane or Serval, I can't remember the name of this, because they had no rifle, and they had basically to use wood and stick, to simulate shooting with rifles. These kind of images, right, were basically spread worldwide and humiliated these armies on a global basis, right? And this kind of humiliation led to what you're seeing now. And these armies are equipping themselves with the best technology you can imagine. And there is a segment of basically I don't know what's the English for that. The Daily Show, the Daily News, right? There's a segment of the Daily News in Malian television, Nigerian television, and Burkinabe television, where they basically show the images of the drones that they acquired from the country that they're newly allied with. They show how they track the fucking terrorists and how they kill them. This is something I'd like you to see. Everyone here. It is on YouTube. You can access it easily. If you agree, I really would like you, Dynast, to show this kind of videos. If it's not, I mean, maybe it's going to be demonetized because it's violence.
Well,
but
how Mali deals with the terrorists?
Basically, every now and then, you have basically images of the drones, but St. James is going to confirm in the television of the three countries, where they show the images of the drones. So it is basically images from the air, and you can see how the terrorists are walking, thinking that they're organizing themselves without danger. And you see then how the drone basically hit them with bombs. Mm-hmm. But the reason why I'm saying that it would be good to show this is to counter the narrative according to which these guys over there don't do nothing or just waiting to get thrown away by imperialists. You know what I mean? Right. There are lots of things we don't see. And if you haven't seen this image, you can just think that they're unprepared, they're just doing nothing. You know what I mean? It would be impactful, I think. Just saying. Then I can let St. James talking. But if you want, I can select few videos and you can show them later on. Okay. Just saying.
Yeah. All right, go ahead, St. James.
Hi, Dynast. Thanks for having me, man. Thank you, Wilfred. And Wilfred, I can confirm everything that you said. I don't think you will be able to show these videos on YouTube. There's a lot of videos, drones attacking the Sahel. So the Western media, I don't think they will show those videos because this video can prove that our military is gaining ground. We are doing what we're supposed to do as a nation. So no, they're not gonna let you see that, but they will take those videos down. I have the videos even on my phones here. So I just because it's sad to watch, but I just want to use the opportunity, right, for us Africans, those of us who are Africans, right, who believe they are really Africans. It comes to a time where we have to talk, we have to have that conversation. You mentioned Senegal, you mentioned Mauritania, and I'll just say there are a lot of ethnic group from Senegal that live in Mauritania. So we can't sit here and say that okay, why Mauritania is helping, aiding and abetting these terrorists, to attack Mali, and Senegal and Mali, they share a history together. So you cannot just aid and abet these terrorists to attack your neighbors. Wilfried, I don't know if you watched last week. Our military forces, we track all these some of these terrorists, and they cross the border to Ivory Coast. That video is there. That was just last week. We can see the video. But we couldn't cross the border because this is a different territory, so they don't allow us to cross. This has been a big problem. That's why in West Africa, right, we have to work together. Each country, we have to work together. So military have to work together. So to make sure that the terrorists cannot come and attack one country and run to another. If we can't solve that problem, then we can't sit here and talk about brotherhoods. No, I can't accept that. So Mali, Burkina, and Niger, we have that military agreement. Our military can go to Mali, we can go to Niger, and vice versa. They can do the same. That's why we are gaining ground. But we have country, let's say that don't want to help, then we have to talk about them. I'm not worried about that. Ivory Coast hasn't been helping us. Everybody know it. So for reason that we don't know, and we have Mauritania, we got Algeria. You see the Mali government talking about Algeria every single day. Now it's Mauritania. So which is which? We are all Africans here. So, but it's been ongoing, right? I'm not saying this is new, but it's time for us, right? Because we created an alliances. We are not afraid of nobody. So I'm telling you, if this doesn't stop, so we're gonna have to invade certain countries. We're gonna have to do that because these people are trying to, these people are trying to let other people invade us. So we can't sit here, hey, we are brothers and sisters, we got a common history. No. These people are coming into our nation, trying to kill people for reasons what we don't know. Even last week, I believe there was a conference in Nigeria, and the president of Nigeria said, well, we do understand terrorism, but we want to make sure who's financing them. That's the thing. We know who's financing them. The people who are getting ready to leave the continent are the one financing that. Where are they getting the weapon? You see Ibrahim Traore tracking all this weaponry, and he said most of this weapon being sent to, how you call that country, Ukraine, are winding up in the Sahel.
I believe that.
So,
I always said that.
So who is giving them? Who is giving them this equipment? Who is supplying the logistic?
Yeah, I always said that, and also I follow Paso TV. I've seen those videos that you talk about, and also I follow the Mali, Kidal, the recent drama with Mauritania. I've seen that. I also seen how Mauritania also deal with their own counter-terror movement. I've seen that. But it's a very complicated situation for you two brothers, because we know ECOWAS have actually made it difficult for you guys to fight these terrorists, right? And they have made you guys, a landlocked countries, so you always have to rely on the air. You don't have that much, air power, apart of drones, to fly equipment in and out of the country. If you don't have a seaport, you're fighting a war like this in the scale is a very difficult one, and all the coastal countries are actually currently against you. Obviously, ECOWAS actually are, because West Africa has been split into two. the coastal state versus the landlocked state. You are the landlocked state, coastal state saying no, we don't want nothing to do with you. And the thing is, Morocco is the only coastal state in the north, who actually were recently happy to connect you guys to the sea from the north to help you guys. But unfortunately, if Mali and Mauritania situation escalate, that will be jeopardized, because they too, Morocco and Mauritania, they're more of a stronger allies. We know these people, the Tuaregs, and those in the north, like the Berbers, are very connected. So it's going to be a problem, because now your own African brothers in the coast, saying, well, we don't want nothing to do with you guys because you're not really, military. You're not leaders. You're just military guys, who would taken over power by force. So it's a very difficult situation, St. James and the brother.
Well, taking power by force doesn't have to do with anybody's business. It's like, if we are happy with what we have, so why you keep criticizing?
Well,
so
that's how they say.
Hold on, if you
not
believe
me,
in
not me. I'm
democracy,
talking about ECOWAS.
no, I get it. I get it. In general, what ECOWAS is worrying about is to make sure that we have an election, and we told them, yeah, we want the election, but we want to secure our country. So I don't understand why they don't understand that. Ukraine has a situation going on. The president said he can't organize the election. The European Union said nothing about it, right? You have to protect your country first. That's the same thing for us. We have to protect our country first, make the necessary reforms before we run an election. If we don't do that, then we will have another puppet that will come there, and maybe 5 years or 10 years later, we will have the same situation. So we can't keep going. We can't stay in that circle. That's why we want to make sure this time, we fix. I'm not saying we want to fix everything 100%, but at least to an acceptable level for the people to even agree to an election. A lot of people in this country, they don't think about elections. So this is the outside world thinking about we need an election to save ourselves. The people know what it takes to save themselves. So it's through what we are doing now, making sure that we are a strong nation, a strong military, and we will never negotiate with invaders. That's what we want to do. So the message has to be clear. So if we establish that, then we can go have an election. Everybody wants peace. But there are certain people, these terrorists, they feel very strong because they have other bases where they can run to. So ECOWAS and the African Union has to look into that. There is no way you can wage war on a country and run to a different country. When you start the war, you got to keep fighting until you win or lose. So there is no way you should be running and coming back 5 years later or 6 years later. No, you got to stay there and fight, because this is what you wanted. You stay there and you fight.
That's true, but it's not that simple, St. James. It's what they call guerrilla tactics, right? It's hit and run, or stay and fight. But anyway, what I'm trying to say
there is an element. Sorry, just to respond to what you said, Al. I have to disagree with you. That's the fact that what happened in Senegal is a game changer. Now the countries of the AES have an access to the Dakar port, right? So they are not landlocked anymore. Basically, even though Senegal is not a part of the AES, and there is a world where it will never join, it doesn't matter. It is still a very friendly country now, right? With the government that it has. And if you think that this country in the coast don't suffer from the isolation of the AES, well, look at Benin. And it is also one of the reasons why, when I was talking earlier about the countries that I guess would follow next in the revolutions, and what I was talking about Benin. What happened to Benin? Well, Benin, together with the other countries, right, sanctioned Niger and closed their border and the access to their port to Niger. But what happened? Well, their port used to literally live off the fact that Nigerians who don't have an access to the coast had to import stuff through their ports. So what happened? Basically, Togo, because the guy is an opportunist, Nyasimbe, the dictator, he opened all the doors, right? All the access to his ports, and his border with Niger was still open. Through Niger. Or I can't remember if it's through Burkina Faso that it was there's an access to Niger, whatever. It all went through Togo. And what happens? to this day is the fact that, well, the ports of Benin are going bankrupt because they have no clients anymore.
Right.
And Nigerians to this day, as far as I know, refuse to import anything through these ports. So it is not something that is, you know what I mean, that get only one way.
I think Niger and Nigeria, they've been reconnected again via the emir of Sokoto and ECOWAS, because during the month of Ramadan, during the month
Now
of
they
Ramadan,
did, but
yes, they did.
it is not
did
because
open up.
it is not because Nigerians all of a sudden realized that they were doing wrong. No, it is because, as I said, same stuff for Nigeria. They benefited from the commerce.
Can I tap in?
They benefited from the trade.
No, it also because of the northern Nigerians and those in the Niger Republic, they are very much the same people. This is why
I know they're the same. They used to belong to the same Sokoto Caliphate.
Thank you.
Fact is that
and also because of the month of Ramadan and also the emir that's there, he's still a emir to the other people on the other side. He feel like he's obliged to speak to the Nigerian government and ECOWAS to lift its sanction, and also for the people of the Sahel.
I'm not denying what you're saying.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that when the border were closed, it basically didn't only affected the Nigerians of the north, it affected the countries on the coast as well, if not more, because they were the ones selling stuff to Niger. So, and my point was simply regarding to the access to the coast, that now that Senegal basically acquired a Pan-African government, things are going to change drastically because the AES now has an access to the Dakar port, even though the leaders in Senegal, as I said, are not, and it's not expected them to be so, are not as direct and vehement as the three in the AES. Still.
Yeah, but yes, okay, I understand. Okay, that's a good some good points. But the thing is, what I'm saying here, all these countries in the Sahel, even though they have an alliance, but they all got different alliances at the same time. Like Senegal and Mauritania, they got their own different obligations to one another. Niger and Nigeria got different obligations to one another. So these are the things we need to look at also, because these leaders in their countries, even though they got this pact, they got to look at their own personal interests also in their own countries when they're making decisions, right? So you need to. That's why I said on the last show, this alliance, if the longer it continues, the more likely it's gonna be quite fragile if they haven't fixed their problem, because it's gonna go to a point, because this is not a new thing. They used to have the G5 in the Sahel, right? Or am I
No. The G5 that you are talking about, who was funding it? Who was funding it? The European were funding it. So
don't know, James,
that's why it failed. This alliance that we just created, I'm optimistic about it, because we are not allowing no funding from no partner.
Just take a break. If you want to come up, Kifaro, please.
So it's us. It's us only, in it. We don't let anybody else, come close to us, right? Unless you are really about it. So we have the same military partners. Well, obviously, like the three countries, most of we basically have the same. We got Russia, we got China, we got Turkey, and technically we got Iran too. So
Iran.
So
even North Korea with Burkina Faso, I think.
Right. And so this and surprisingly, some European countries are stepping up to help. So they are breaking ranks from the European Union. I'm seeing Germany doing a lot of things.
These are the ones you got to be careful with, though, because
listen, Al. I'm telling you, this is not. Listen, I know people. People. You have to be a critic, right? I get it. You have to be a critic.
Thank you.
But we are not. These people don't come to us like how you call it, like they cannot play us into those situations again. It's not possible, because to fight terrorists, right? Like we said, it is an international threat. So if a country decides to help you, you cannot turn them down, It's written in the charter of the United Nations. It is an international threat. So if a country decides to give you, let's say, just a pickup truck, a motorcycle, whatever, you have to accept it. Or they will go to the international community and say, hey, we wanted to help, and you said you don't want it. You understand?
Okay, well,
so whatever
okay.
they give you, if it's logistic and equipment, yes. But coming inside the country trying to make decisions, then yes, we can't allow that. But
Just
if they're providing assistance, yeah, we can accept it, no problem. So if it's come for free with no strings attached, why not? But making decisions,
Also,
yeah, then that's a problem. Like what the United States is doing. Wilfried mentioned it very well, right? We needed that air support since 2013. That's what the Malians have asked the French. We needed that air support. Like on the ground, we can handle our own. That's what the Malians said. Even the Burkina, we do on the ground, we good. We just need help with the air support because the Sahel is too big. A lot of people don't understand it. It's too big, you know. So the French turned this air support to a ground support, you know. And when the United States came and they say we're going to have a drone base in Niger, people were like, yeah, we needed that air support. And that air support never showed up. So now we have to turn to Turkey. Turkey gave the air support to the Sahelians. 95% of the drones came from Turkey, not even from Russia. It came from Turkey. Can you believe that? And then we have two drone base in Nigeria. Make that make sense for me.
I am just saying, right? If you know how the West work, we dealt with them for years. These guys, if they come and knock on the front door, that door is closed. They'll try and knock on the back door. If that doesn't work, they'll try and jump through the roof. So just be careful. At the end of the day, if you're gaining ground, that's all.
We will.
I'd like to say something about this.
Yeah.
People, we have to stop thinking that these guys who are in power are stupid. Okay, they know exactly what they're doing, and I'm going to give you a very good example. When the Malian government came to power, right? He played it nice with the Algerian government, right? And I was pissed off at the time because I know that Algerians basically they suffer from a superiority complex of the Arab supremacists, right? They think they're better than the blacks in the south, that they can basically manipulate us. And I was basically pissed to see that in appearance, right, the relations were so good and that the Malians didn't tell the truth to the Algerians. Well. Few years later, I think it was 1 or 2 years later, the Malian government then just put it straight, right? And now the relationships between Algeria and Mali are basically extremely bad because the Malians have been patient in the beginning, right? They listened to what the Algerians said, they observed them, they gave them chances to stop the bullshit. They didn't, so they acted, right? And it is the same with the Europeans. We have to trust these guys, right? They know exactly what the Germans are doing, what the Europeans are doing, right? They're not stupid. That's all I'm saying. They're not stupid. So
do you know what?
When it came time for the Malian to send them home, they did, right? Did they hesitate? When it came time to send them home, 50,000 NATO soldiers, they did not hesitate.
Of course, they did. Absolutely.
So
do you know why? Do you know why they did not hesitate? Because they failed badly in the Sahel.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Remember the last St. James, the Tuareg really whooped their ass in the Sahel. They wanted to just get out. These kids cannot.
Hey guys, we're gonna close out in about 3 minutes. So
no problem, bro.
Anything else you guys want to share in closing? Then we'll come
back. What was your point? Like you said, the Tuareg wanted to do what?
No, I said no. The NATO they got their ass whipped in the Sahel. They wanted to get out. These European military guys, they can't deal with the heat and the weather in the Sahel. To fight there, it's a very difficult terrain. If you're not from that zone, you cannot fight.
I know. That's why they don't want to engage, right?
Yeah. The only people that can physically fight in the ground in the Sahel is the local people that can do it. But yeah, it's a shame, for a great show like this, no one sponsored the show. But Dynast, is that in a way I can hook you on Cash App, brother? Yeah.
Yeah. I put my cash up in the chat right now. Hold on.
But
No, it's right here. It's right here.
Al,
yes,
you gotta remember this, right?
yeah, because this is a
You
very
cannot.
important
No,
stream. You Pan African are very stingy.
I want you to remember this, because you will always want to go back to history, right? So any tribe can go back to history and point out to its time where the people got prosecuted, they lost land, they lost lives, they lost many things. Any tribes in West Africa, anywhere in the world, we can
that's
go
true.
back. And so you
I
cannot,
agree.
like, listen, when this Tuareg and those people come back to claim certain things,
Yeah,
don't take that in full value, like face value. Like, listen, yeah, you may have a point, right? Like when you talk about even the Fulanis, right? We can talk about them, right?
let's forget about them.
No. Let me tell you, because I'm trying to fix something.
Yeah, okay.
What I was trying to tell you, listen, we understand the frustration they went through in the Sahel, right? So some of them, but but their frustration is not any different than the people that live there.
Yeah, that's true.
So you cannot rise above the country. You can't do that.
No, I agree. You're not better than everybody else that's around you.
Absolutely.
That's a good mentality to have. I agree.
Absolutely. Let's come together and make this situation better so everybody can benefit.
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to say. But history has always demonstrated that some foreigners always use the past,
Well, I did say that to you. I said that to you. I said they're using our historical past, how they know how some of the empires crumbled in the past, and they know how the beef that's not been settled is still there. Like you had your Mosi Empire, we had our Mali Empire, we had the Songhai, how all these things crumble. These people read history. That's why I always talk into the history. Sometimes people are having a go away, but sometimes we can learn from these things, because if we manage to get rid of this beef, these past issues, no one can come to us and actually try to divide us, because we are one family. At the end of the day, we shouldn't let anyone come into the continent and divide us. We intermarry, we live together, we break bread together, we travel together, we speak similar languages, we're genetically related. So why should we be divided by some outsider? We cannot do that to them. Why are we allowing them to do that to us? That goes to my people. Yeah. So I agree with you.
That's what needs to be.
Yeah. Like, the guy that's helping you out right now in Burkina, he's a brother from Guinea. I come from
where did you get that? Where did you get that information, bro?
Traore. You all know Traore is a man.
But you know, a lot of people in Guinea, they come from Ouagadougou, right? You know that, right?
Ouagadougou, yeah, but that's
even the former president of Guinea, his father is from Burkina, right? You know that, right?
Because he traveled there over the years.
So you can't
but that's
we from all over the place, man. So we
that's why I just said to you, we're very related and intermarried. People from Guinea always travel to Burkina, and people from Burkina always go to Guinea. It's always been like that. But however, we have people that settled there. His dad went to Burkina Faso. Yeah, he was born there, but his dad went there from Guinea. Yeah.
So you think he's doing a good job?
Yeah, I think he's doing a good job, and I think someone make me laugh. There's a guy called Kifaro on the chat right now. He was saying our president in Guinea and Traore don't get on. I'm thinking, you're idiots. These people are actually related people, and they work together. And he was on about the Mali and the Guinea and stuff like that. Mali heavily rely on Guinea for their port, because most of the stuff that goes into Mali comes from Guinea port in the Conakry.
Well, hey guys, we're going to close out, but Al, my cash app's right there. Everyone, thank you so much for joining. Share, subscribe. Anytime. We're going to continue to have these conversations. Everyone, thank you so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time, family, Dynasty, Amir, search for Huru. Peace.
I love to you guys.